Welcome everybody. As I said, I'm very excited about today's session because this is the first time we are actually doing a full-fledged demo about this use case that we've been working with a couple of customers. We're going to talk about JSM, and specifically in JSM, we are going to talk about how can we help teams make the most out of their Jira service management with distributed teams, and how you can use an add-on which Trundle has made, which is called Sarge, Smart Assignments and Rotations for Jira, and how you can use that. Before we do that, a quick introduction about me. My name is Sajit. I am officially the Director of Products and Agile Practices, but in reality, I just work with really smart people and they get the job done while I get to sit and talk to some really smart people. I'm based out of Delhi, Gurgaon. I'm also an Atlassian community leader, been in the ecosystem for around 10 years now. Been a community leader for 6. A bunch of Atlassian certifications, scaled agile certification, agile certifications. I'm also an Atlassian authorized instructor. And me and Sarika, my co-leader from Mumbai, also run another community called the QuizWiz, which is more known for helping people with their ACPs and trivia quiz. So that's about me. And this is what we are going to talk about today. We are going to talk about Sarge. We are going to talk about how JSM and Sarge work together. We're going to look at a use case, and then we are going to jump into a demo. And while we do that, you might have just gotten the first poll on your screen, which is which of the following describes your role. So please respond to that. Helps us understand the audience a little better, and even provide some more feedback in terms of which examples we should be using. As Garima also mentioned earlier, at any point in time, if you have a question, feel free to just drop a note in the chat. I have my chat open with me right here, and I can read through it, and yeah, we can have that conversation. All right, what is Sarge? Sarge, as the acronym has already been revealed, Smart Assignments and Rotations for Jira, is an add-on that was created for specifically support teams, but it also works for software teams. So the idea was to automate the work assignment for team members in a way that the amount of time taken to assign work to a specific individual could be minimized. If you're like, I've worked in support teams where a team leader's role was to assign incoming tickets to the people in the support team in the shift, right? That was his main task, and keep a tab of how many tickets are in progress, how many are waiting for support, how many are needs escalation, those kind of things. And those were always something that had issues with that one person, because that one person at the end of the day is just sitting there and assigning work, right? So this idea came to us that we should have a product where we can automate some of these things and help team members understand how much more they can achieve if they don't have to wait around for task assignment. Over a period of time, we kept adding complexities when we kept witnessing more and more use cases as we moved along in our journey. So you'll see that even today, where Sarge is very different from where it was even 6 months ago or 2 years ago, for that matter. We've been in this space for a while. We are well known in terms of the marketplace, specifically in the auto assignment sector. There are a couple of other add-ons, but some of our really big customers trust us to assign the work to their teams. And I'm not going to read through slides, but if you have any specific question on the slides, please, at any point in time, again, use the chat to ask me. One thing that I would like to highlight specifically is the first point that it mentions why you need Sarge, which is managing your global shifts and your time zones. So when your team works in different time zones, yes, automation for Jira can assign work in its bare form to team members. But when it comes to complexity of time zones, when it comes to complexity of shifts and like shift breaks, all those things comes into picture. Native Jira is not able to solve those use cases. And of course, there are other aspects that Sarge also looks at, which is like sick leaves, or if you have team members who are backing somebody up while they are on vacation, how does all of that gets taken into consideration? And we've got some really cool features in the works, which we are also going to briefly show today. So if you are already a SARS user, you'll see what is coming in the next couple of weeks. All right, let's move on to the next slide. Uh, what features it officially adds to Jira, right? Sarge officially lets you create team schedules and your rotation rules. What those mean is basically what are the assignment logic that you need in your system when you are assigning issues to a team member. Like, for example, uh, do you want to assign work on the basis of priority? Do you want to assign work on the basis of a field in the assets? Or do you want to assign work on the basis of, let's say, if it was escalated or like a status? All those decisions you might have to set up in your schedules and rotations. After that, there are again the complexities of availability, your time zone, your organizers, and everything else that comes into picture. One major aspect where the app also comes into the picture is having fairness in work assignment. Because when you have an individual assigning tasks, even in my previous experience, I've seen people getting tickets assigned depending on who the shift lead was, because that one person would assign easier tickets to one person and tough tickets to one person, and one person is sitting there with a backlog of 8 very big tickets, while other has completed 20 easy ones in an hour or two, right? That kind of a model. So Sarge brings that fairness into work assignments for your teams as well. And in turn, then it, like, you are able to have more more time, or like more flexibility to do the things that matter rather than wait for a work to be assigned or a task to be assigned. All right, we've got a varied Jira experience. We've got people from 0 to 2, 2 to 5, and 5 to 10 years of experience in Jira as well. So I think this is a very mixed group that we've got today, and it will be interesting to see how we go forward. Uh, yeah, so what does JSM and Sarge bring together? As I was already saying, these are some of the features that Sarge brings into the table. Gaurav has a question: can we manage agent breaks within a shift using Sarge? Yes, we can. We can manage or have agents assign their shift breaks in the system so that it lets you not assign them tickets during their shift breaks, and when they come back, issues automatically starts assigning to them. And we'll, again, as I said, we'll show this in the live demo environment in it as well, Gaurav. Okay, so as I just quickly a review of what are all the features. With Sarge, you get a preset dashboard of projects and configuration. You get to have a team planning and a shift individual planning on the basis of holidays, PTOs, mid-shift breaks, work shifts. You can define all of this in a calendar view as well. You can have an audit log of all the changes that you're doing in the system. You can set a work in progress limit, which is one of my favorite features of the app. Uh, Specifically for support teams which work in big numbers, burnout is a real thing. So when you have a team member who's just working on 20 tickets, and like the moment he completes 10, there are 20 more in his backlog. The amount of pressure that gets added on that person is definitely not going to make it easier. So that's where work in progress limits comes into picture. So that, for example, you can set up a specific amount of work that can be assigned to an individual. Like, for example, 10 in progress tickets, then don't assign a 11th new ticket to that person until, let's say, that number comes down to 5 or something like that. Whatever, you can define. All of this is customizable. So when you set up those work in progress limits, the tickets, it's not like they're lost. They go into a pool and they wait for people to be available. The moment people come available, anybody from that group, it starts assigning them back in that manner as well. And again, one of the very used, or like one of the very most mentioned reasons for people using Search, it does not impact their cloud automation limit, because the app runs separately from the native automation logic. It does not take into account the automation limits that Jira puts on you. And as I said earlier, while it is brilliant for support teams and service management, Jira service management, we have customers who use it for Jira software. We've got some customers who assign work on the basis of their status. Like, for example, when it goes to in development, the work gets assigned to a specific developer from a bunch of developers on the team. When it goes in testing, it goes to a tester. In that manner, a very true Kanban kind of a model, Jira software can also benefit from smart assignments and rotations for Jira. All right, so this is the use case that we are going to look at today. We got a project called multi-app support project, which works in a Kanban methodology. We've got people in the project who are across time zones. We've got Brittany, Robert, and Andy in US and Canada. We've got Fede, Anthony, and Rio in Europe. We've got Sarika, Sajit, and Mahesh working out from India. And the support is provided for basically three type of requests: new feature requests, bug issues, and tech support. Your standard JSM, your standard JSM support. And what we are going to look at how JSM and Sarge work together in a scenario like this. Before we actually go there, let me just quickly show this one more slide that I added. So this is basically what we are seeing, right? We've got distributed team across the globe, North America, Europe, and Asia. And when a customer comes on board and they start asking a question, so let's say you've got three separate customers in three of these geographies. You've got a customer in Australia, one somewhere in Europe, Eastern Europe or Western Europe, and one in North America, right? So you can define in a way that work gets assigned to the people that is closest to their time zone. So that, right, like for example, whoever is working, when they create a ticket, it gets assigned to them. That's the most basic idea of the app, so that you are able to reduce the amount of time it will take for somebody to come online and look at their tickets and then assign the work. So with that being said, let's actually jump on to demo. Let's look at how can you reduce manually assigning work, and how can auto assignment be something that will be helpful for you. All right, so I'm just going to jump to a different screen. I hope you guys can still see my screen. I am now on my native Jira instance. This is a demo instance that we have. And what you're seeing is the landing page for Sarge. When I say landing page, that means if I click on app and I click on smart assignments rotation, this is where I land, right? But before we actually jump into the app and look at the features and everything, let me show you what it actually does. So I've got the same app support project that I have. I am just opening, let's say, all right, I am suggesting a new feature. I'm saying raise feature request, test request. I'm saying, all right, this feature request is for an AWS product. I click it, create, send. I open it. And the issue has already been assigned to somebody, right? If I go into history, I can see SAR changed the assignee 8 seconds ago. Now, how all of this happen is where the magic is, right? So how we do this is by coming here in the project. So how to reach the project itself is fairly simple. So like, for example, if you go into your specific project, you can always click on the SARS app, enter the schedule, and this is where you will end up. So once you've opened your schedule, you're seeing there are three types of schedules that I've created. One for a bug, one for a feature, and one for a technical support. So if I open the schedule for bug, which let's say, for example, we'll go in there a minute. Just close this. All right. In the bug, I've got one priority rotation created in here. That means the rotation is showing you every time every time a ticket is created with a bug issue type. If the priority is high, assign it to one of these three individuals, Sarika, Brittany, or Ray. If it's medium, assign it to one of these three individuals. If it's highest, then assign it to these three. If it's low, then assign it to these two. In that manner, you can reduce the amount of queue for a specific team member. Let's say, for example, Brittany is one of your senior team members, and you only want tasks to go to her which are really high priority tasks. Otherwise, you want team members like maybe Anthony, Mahesh, Tarika, or Rio, or Andy, these people to work out and only escalate to them when that is needed. So you can define that kind of a logic so that when a ticket gets created, it will take these into consideration, and assign that specific ticket to those people. The other use case in this scenario is like, for example, the one we just looked at, suggesting a new feature. Now, that suggesting a new feature could also have multiple parameters, right? So, for example, if you look at this specific rotation, we'll see in this scenario, I've added all the team members because a new feature request is usually something more generic where you'll wait and look at how teams are coming in and who wants to pick up that work. And in that manner, have a more generic kind of a rotation schedule. So again, the first ticket gets assigned to the first person, then in a round robin fashion moves on to the next one. You can also have a third rotation, which is I believe, the general tech support request, which can define whether on the basis of specific product, if you want to break that rotation. Like, for example, you might remember the first product custom field that I used on my customer portal. So if I come back here, you'll see I've defined how product is kind of, owning who is getting assigned to which specific aspect of it. So there's always parameters and complexities that you can add into your system on the basis of schedule. The best thing that I would recommend when you are using a system like this is to plan out that there is no overlapping. Like, for example, there might be a scenario in which you created a bug with a specific rule and also added the similar sort of logic in a new feature. So, for example, in that scenario, there might be some some overlap that you want to avoid, which is fairly easy, and you can avoid it in a way how that is being done by looking at other aspects of it, which is, let's look at the first aspect, which is the organizer. So the organizer feature lets you create your own working hours and the days in which you are working. So if I look at the organizer and I turn this organizer on, you'll see I have my entire team here and they've all updated their own working hours. Now here, Sarika is working from Monday to Friday, 9 to 8. And I can see when they have done that, right? The best part is these people didn't have to come here to update this. As you'll see, my working hours are also mentioned here. But I didn't have to come here and update it because I have the ability in my dashboard to add my own organizer. So like, for example, I can select a project. Like, for example, if I edit this is my project. I'm saying these are my start time. These are my working days. Let's say, for example, I don't work on Fridays. I click on update. Once I update, it's going to go for an approval. And it's the good thing about a feature like this is you can define whether you want this to go for an approval or not. If you want to skip approval, let's say you've got a team which is fairly mature, you want it to skip approval. So like every time they update their organizer, it should automatically update it. So let me just refresh this landing page right here. And while it opens, you'll see that the organizer change that I was trying to make will now allow me to make that change because I've now added skip approval. Now it does not need an approval. I have updated my organizer. Now, Friday, I don't work on this project anymore. Let me just refresh this here also. Now, basically what I've said is on this project, on this MASS project, on Friday, I would not be assigned any tickets because I don't work on Fridays as per my organizer. The other aspect that you can look at in a scenario like this is when it comes to the aspect of vacations. For example, you have somebody who is taking a leave or a planned leave, for example, or even a sick leave for that matter. You can look and include all that conversation in by just turning on your availability. Now here, availability, like for example, if I look at, again, this is the project view. So I can see Sajid has a mid-shift break from 5 to 5:30 p.m. That means no ticket on 4 working days that he's working on. And I have a vacation coming up for 30th August. I also have my time zone mentioned here, which will drive which time zone is active and what time. So remember, I had in my organizer mentioned I work from 9 to 8. So 9 to 8 in Asia, Kolkata is when tickets get assigned to me. So you can define whether you want availability and organizer to come into picture, or if you don't want this, you can just turn this off. That means all team members in your rotations are in play and the work can be assigned to any of the team members. Again, you don't have to have project level permissions to come in and do this in your app. You can do this with your Sarge landing dashboard as well. You can just come on to your manage button here in your availability, and you can go to plan vacation and say, all right, on 31st, I'm taking a partial day. I'm actually not available from 9 a.m. to, let's say, 2 p.m. I have a doctor's appointment or something like that. 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. I'm not available. Don't assign me any work. And while you do that, it's done. I've got a question in the chat which says, can we edit vacation? Yes. If it's in future, you can. If it's gone back in the past, then you cannot. That's an entry that will stay in the system. But in future vacation, yes, you can always edit your vacations. For example, I come here, I can unselect this 30th vacation, update, come back. And now if I go back here and refresh this availability page, just one thing to note here, organizer is dependent on the project. Availability is an instance-wide aspect. Again, if you don't want to impact your project, you can turn availability off in your project. But the idea is if a person is out sick, they're out sick for all projects, right? If you are enabling availability. So like, for example, if we see this 30th is now gone, it's only showing 31st as my vacation. So we can edit vacation. All right, so that's about schedule and organizer. The third feature that I'm going to talk about is fairly new. We had it a couple of months back, and we had actually a customer use case which came up, which said some people had to, take unexpected time offs, and they were not able to add, on the system that they are not available for day. How do you handle a use case like that? Because if you've noticed, it is me who's adding my own vacation. My admin on here cannot update my vacation. It's the person who's taking the vacation who can update it. From a project view, nobody can update anybody's vacation. What happens in scenario like that? That's where proxy and skip comes into the picture. As an admin, I have the control to remove somebody from the rotation for a day, for a couple of days, depending on when I want. So let's say I say while Anthony is not available, I want to remove him for all assignable work starting today till end of this week. He has some emergency because of which he has to go, and I've just done that. What I can also do is I can add a proxy. I can say while Anthony is not available, assign all his work to, let's say, Sajid or somebody in his team, Brittany, in that time zone. So while his name will still be in the rotation, all work that is supposed to be assigned to Anthony will go to Brittany, and in that manner continue moving forward. So this proxy and skip gives that flexibility to the project admin and the ability to not having to change the rotation even though a team member has gone on a vacation. The next concept is pool. As we've already mentioned, pool only comes into the picture when none of your agents are available. So if your team is overloaded, if you have one specific hour where you're not providing support, the tickets will come and wait in pool and wait for people to be available. Let's say, for example, your rotation officially ends at 5 a.m. IST and your team start at 7 a.m. IST and somebody raises a ticket at 6 a.m. So for 1 hour, it will wait in pool. And once 7 a.m. starts, somebody's work hours officially start, you start assigning the ticket. You will not, the system will automatically do that. Gaurav says, would proxy change impact the currently assigned tickets? No, it will not. SARS will not override any currently assigned tickets for two specific reasons. First, proxy impacts only one specific project. So we didn't want to change any existing work for any different project. Second, even in that project, there might be a scenario that while they are working on it, somebody else can step in and do the work in the backend, specifically in the assignee. And there might be other reasons why I don't want to change the assignee. Like, for example, they might not have permissions to work on a specific aspect of that. So we've not changed that. While any future tickets, their assignment can be changed. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. Let's say a ticket was supposed to be assigned to Anthony, but I am his proxy. But I don't have access to a specific type of ticket that Anthony works on. Let's say financial reimbursement request. The system will not let me create a proxy because they will first check whether I have the same assignable user permissions as Anthony. So future tickets will be taken care of. Previous tickets will not get impacted. All right. So we've talked about pool, we've talked about availability, organizer, and schedule. Let's look at audit log. So audit log is where you basically keep a track of everything. Anything that your team is doing in terms of availability, organizer, all that information stays here. So Sajid updated his vacation or day off 31st. You can clearly see 30th. All that information stays here, so you don't have to worry about, who made change to a rotation when you were not looking. The final aspect is the calendar aspect. The calendar is one place where you're able to look at your entire team's schedule at a day, week, or month view. So you can see what is, like, for example, Andy is working on this basic rotation for new feature task, and he's working on it across the week. I can look at a month view and see, all right, these are his working hours. I can see, for example, if I scroll, let's open mine and see, there are some vacations. I've got a shift break each day from 5 to 5:30 p.m. I've also got a task rotation. If I move across, I've got a vacation coming up on 31st of August. Again, shift break still exists there. So you can see all of that information in one place when it comes to your calendar, and you can filter this out. Let's say, for example, you're only looking for your vacations right now. So you can see your vacations and shift break so that without adding too much data onto your screen, you can have a look at that. Or you're only looking to see what are the working hours. So the working hours for every day for Rio is 9 to 8. Same goes for me, but Sajid does not work on Fridays. So each week you'll see this one block for my name. And in that way, however your team is inputting their information using their own dashboard, you'll be able to track all of that in your project's calendar. Now, there is some interesting work that we are doing in this calendar, which we'll show in a couple of slides in a minute. I'll take a quick pause and ask if there are any specific questions from anyone. Okay, we've got one question which says, I have updated proxy and skip. I observed that we have delete option for skip, but did not see delete option in proxy. All right, let's have a look. Let's go to proxy and skip. So you say you have a delete option for skip. Yes, you do. But if you are adding a proxy, you did not find a delete option. All right, so let's add a proxy right now. I'm adding a proxy from here. I'm saying my proxy is Sarika. Can select the date. You've now added a proxy. The reason you don't have a delete option is you can always turn it off. You can turn this status off. Now, as a system admin, there is availability way in which you can do that. Oh, you don't want to use the disable option, you want to delete it. Yeah, we can give that as a flexibility to have the option to be deleted as well. There is one more way in which you can do this. You can come here and add your proxy or skip directly from here also. Oh, the skip actually is a feature restricted to the project admin so that they can do it. But yeah, I understand. If you don't want to disable, we can add a delete option in there. All right. Any other questions? I'm seeing there are two questions in Q&A. One is, does it allow business users to schedule callbacks with support team to schedule a screen share, for example, at just a second, at a convenient time? So as of now, we do not have the ability to schedule time, but that is an option we are exploring to have the ability to look at calendar in a different manner. We'll go in a future slide and I'll show you what are the current possibilities that we are exploring. What about the SLA for those tickets who sits in pool? Jogesh, we actually had that use case come up with a customer. Uh, they said they wanted the SLA to be paused when it's sitting in the pool. But the problem with that is if you pause the SLA, it's technically kind of cheating, isn't it? Because you're not assigning the work to a team member uh, while it's sitting in pool. So it will not impact the SLA. The SLA clock will keep on running. You need to, in an ideal world, you need to plan your resources in a way that the ticket should not go into pool. And that way does not impact your SLAs. And if you've got given a 4-hour SLAs, that means your team should be planned in a way, your work should be planned in a way that that 4-hour SLA should be set up for at least 2 people in your team to only pick up those 4-hour SLA type of work. So that's why no, SLA will not be paused when it goes into the pool. The SLA will continue running. All right. Any other questions? All right. We have one more question. Says I have updated a user as my proxy. Okay. Later on, I disabled proxy. Will skip allow me to update for same day? As long as one entry exists for a time duration, you would not be able to add another entry of the same date. But once you disable or delete, yes, you should be able to add the other entry on that date as well. All right. In the quick interest of time, let me now, please keep the questions coming, guys. This is great. In the interest of time, let me just go back because there are a couple more things that you want to showcase that before we go on because of the next set of things that we wanted to talk about. So this is what we basically talked about today. We've talked about how you can set your schedules, how you can set up your rotations, how you can set your availability and organizer, look everything in your Sarge dashboard, have a calendar view where you are able to look at managing resources, managing your work. Most importantly, uh, taking in consideration your working days, your vacations, your shifts, your mid-shift breaks, all those logics into your team's work assignment. Now, that brings us to some key aspects of what the team is working on right now, right? So what's coming next? And when I say coming next, in the next couple of weeks coming next, a resource calendar. So right now, as you saw, the calendar functionality only exists inside a project. That means when you want to look at your team's availability, you're only looking at multi-user, but one project at a time. So you don't have the flexibility to expand that into a portfolio view. But we've built something of a feature which will allow you to add multi-project, multi-user view, and you'll be able to view and plan your team's work across projects. So if you are a support manager or if you're a delivery manager who works across projects, this dashboard, this calendar view will be your one-stop view to look at everything in terms of multiple projects. Those calendars would be saved, just like you can save filters and share it with people. You can save those calendars as specific calendar entries and then share those calendars with your team members as well. So that's a very ambitious project that the team overtook, and it's still being tested right now, but the development is complete and we are expecting it to come out in Sarge in the next official release that comes out. Shout out Mahesh, Gaurav, Sarika, everybody else in the development team, Jivan, Satvik, who built and worked across these coming soon features that you'll see me talking about. And yeah, if you have any feedback, please let us know. As I mentioned, while right now we are looking at multi-project, multi-user view with the ability like a filter to be saved and shared, there are much more things that we want to do in that calendar view. For example, we want to be able to have a resource management piece all together inside Sarge. So you don't have to spend on another app which does resource management for you, right? Because resource management and then allocation is the official long-term goal. And in that way, we are working towards that goal. The next big feature that we're working across, it's officially done. We're just doing the final checks, is the calendar integration. So you don't have to go into availability and add your vacation. You can just sign in with your Outlook and Google and put in your out of office in your Outlook, and your Jira issues will not be assigned to in your project. Now, keep in mind your project admin will have to enable that integration. It's not a difficult integration, it's just a one-click integration. And once that is done, uh, your your systems uh, your systems Jira system will talk to your Outlook or your Google Calendar and will pull in your out of office. So you don't have to basically come into Jira and tell when you are working, when you're not. If you're on vacation, don't worry about things being assigned to you for 10 days and waiting in the queues, right? So that's again something which a lot of people who are users of the app had requested us, and we were working on it for a while. It's officially now in just completion stage, and we are just testing through the phases. And once that is done, we'll officially be rolling it out. The DC version is almost done. So the only thing that is pending in the DC version is we're just working with Atlassian to roll it out on the marketplace. So if you're somebody who works in a DC environment and not on cloud, then this definitely will help you. Uh, all the features, all the things that you're seeing on Sarge Cloud will be available on the DC version, and you get the benefit of hosting it on your own self. So you'll be able to work through the app and yeah. You manage your work assignments in your data center environment. So these three features specifically are very important, and we are expecting to roll it out in the next couple of weeks. Once we do that, again, we'll be very happy. If you have any feedback, if you have any questions, we'll also type in our official customer portal link in the chat. If you have any questions, you can always go in and ask. If you need a demo, if you need a follow-up session, anything in that manner, we'll be very happy to do that. That being said, there is an offer for today's session. Anybody who's joining on this demo as a customer, you get 60%, 50% off for a year, or 6 months free if you're a monthly participant, monthly Atlassian tier user. So that, for example, if as I said, if you're an annual subscription, you get 50% off for a year. If you're on monthly subscription, you get 6 months free. And yeah, we'll be very happy to hear or work with you on any use cases that you might have, any questions that you might have. And yeah, we'll be very happy to set it up for you. Yeah, this is very interesting poll that we just launched. It says, do you use automation for Jira to auto assign work to your team? 64% says yes, a lot of counts are wasted on this. So you can save those counts, or even if you're assigning it manually, you can uh, feel free to use smart assignments and rotations for Jira, for JSM, and for Jira software to automatically assign your work to your team members. And yeah, that's it. I think with that, I will officially stop the presentation and now open to any questions that there may be. I actually finished 5 minutes early. I was planning to finish 5:20, but I think 5:15-ish, we have officially finished the presentation material that I wanted to show. But if there are any questions, very happy to answer. Right? Not seeing any questions. Garima, anything in Q&A that I might have missed? Speaking, Garima, you're on mute.
Hey, I think you have answered Simon's question and Yogesh's question.
Okay, perfect. Cool. All right. I think that is all that we have for today. If you have, as we said, any assignment related queries, please reach out to us at let me just share the link of our customer portal. The link is apps.trundle.com. So if you hit this URL, you will, let me share my screen once again. This is where you'll find all the support that you might need. It's apps.trundle.com. I am just pasting this link in the chat as well. You'll be able to see our documentation for Sarge. We've also got other products in the line. We've got an app called Secure Forms for Jira and Waterfall for Jira. Waterfall for Jira is a project management app. Have a look at that. The admin guide will tell you anything and everything that you might need to know about Sarge. You can look at the user guide on how to set up your schedules, how to set up your calendar, how to set up your availability. Excuse me. And as I said, if you have any questions, you can always come to customer portal here and raise a ticket, and using SARS, the ticket will get assigned to us or one of us from the support team, and we'd be very happy to help you out.